we're going to take a look at 9.2.5 and 9.2.7. It's introducing the idea of creating a confidence interval for a mean. And so we're going to estimate something from a population, or estimate a mean value from a population. Instead of using a single value or a point estimate, we will be creating an interval saying we think the mean is between this and this. And in order to do that, to construct a confidence interval, here are the conditions here. This is just from the PowerPoints or from our notes here. These are the conditions, and notice they're very similar to what we learned in a previous chapter, previous section about conditions for sampling distributions and the data being normal. And so the data comes from a population is normally, or the sample size is large. So if the sample size is not large, then we for sure know the population is normally distributed. So this is a false statement here because it needs more than just that statement there. Also then, here are the formulas that you're provided on the formula sheets to create a confidence interval. And it's very similar to proportions. You have a lower bound and an upper bound. And in here, what we're looking at here, again, it looks complex, but really what we need to know is we'll know what the mean is, the sample mean, and then we have these critical values and then the standard error. This is a standard error here. This is a critical t. It's not a z, it's a critical t value because we're talking about means. We have a different distribution to calculate based off of the sample size. And so this is called the critical value, and that's what we're doing on this problem here, where it says determine the t value, right? The t value for these conditions here is what we're doing here, t alpha over 2, and again it depends upon what your alpha is and your sample size. And we have this idea of called degrees of freedom, and that we need to use those numbers into the calculator. So to find the t value such that the area on the right tail is 0.05 with 22 degrees of freedom, what you're going to do is we would go to StatCrunch, Stat Calculators, T Calculator, and on this problem it said it wanted 0.05 in the right tail, so this would be a greater than. And then we also need to keep in mind of the degrees of freedom 22, so you'd put 22 here. Degrees of freedom are always the sample size minus 1, so in this case the sample size would be 23. Said 0.05 greater than because of the right tail, and so then you end up with that answer. 1.717 would be the answer for this problem here. 1.717. And then let's try another one here. Let's do D. Find the critical t value that corresponds to a 95% confidence. Assume 19 degrees of freedom. So in this case, since alpha is 0.05, we need the t alpha over 2. So alpha over 2 is 0.025. And so in order to calculate that, we would, and the degrees of freedom is 19, so we would put 19 in here. And I'm going to put 0.025 there, compute, and so I get 2.09. 2.093 would be my answer there. 2.093 would be my critical value. Again, we're going to use the T calculator and StatCrunch to do these problems. Oh, and this one here, which is left tail, then you would use you could use the less than symbol to get the left tail value. For this one here, area in the left, you use the less than symbol there to get to the area to the left.